cheaper alternative to paying the rent. To make ends meet, Peg went from door to door under the guise of a concern grandly entitled the London Gold Refining Company. With the young sellers as her companions, she travelled the home counties, buying and selling on the pretext of being an antiques expert.
Now, this I can imagine. I don't know. Of course, I am not an expert. Near enough.
Oh, I thought you were an expert.
No. Near enough to buy Georgian silver very cheaply.
Yes.
And to sell it at a very heavy price.
You'd take that on a callback, would you?
Oh, indeed.
Yes.
You see, most people that keep those things have these sort of things left to them.
Yeah.
Peter, in fact, was christened Richard Henry. His first child was christened Peter and died before he was a year old. And so Peter, he never knew quite why, was always called Peter, not Richard Henry. And in a sense, he took the place of the dead child and was, during his formative years, totally smothered in maternal affection. He was an archetypal Jewish mother, because Peter was Jewish on the maternal side. His mother was Jewish, and the family was Mendoza, the great bare-fisted boxer Daniel Mendoza. Peg was the prime influence in Peter's life, both positively and negatively, and it was a thin-divided line between love and fear.
His mother's itinerant lifestyle deprived Sellers of a settled education, as he constantly moved from school to school. In his last school, he was put in a class of boys 2 years his junior. It closed down when war broke out, and Sellers' education came to an end. He was still only 13. Peg took him to Ilfracombe in North Devon, where her brother managed the theatre. There they were reunited with his father, Bill, who had never left the stage. It was here that Sellers' life as a performer really began.
I got a job in an art theatre at Ilfracombe. My mother used to say that I should never ask anybody in the theatre, never ask another person to do a job they couldn't do themselves. So I was apprenticed sweeping out after the performance. That was the first job. I had 10 bob a week. And then after that, I used to take tickets on the door. Then I did front of house, which is just... And then from box office, I went to assistant stage manager, front of house, like assistant stage manager, stage manager. And gradually progressed my way up to playing small parts like Your Carriage Without, things like that. Hello!
In wartime Ilfracombe, Sellers learned to play the drums, soon graduated to perform in his father's band. When Sellers was called up in 1942, his showbiz background qualified him for the RAF's legendary entertainment unit, the Gang Show.
I first met Peter early in 1944. I got transferred into the RAF Gang Shows and I entertainment unit. And there I met Peter, who was a young, rather fat drummer. Wonderful jazz drummer. Been trained as a drummer. Well, now he was coming up to 20 and I was coming up to 24, so the difference of 4 years made me a man and him still a boy. And he acted like a boy. He behaved like a boy. A rascal, actually. And we were based up on the 3rd floor of a big barrack block. And while we were unloading the various instruments and things, Peter is drummed. Out came the makeup box. This time it was a full handlebar moustache, parted hair, lieutenant's bars again, wings, metal ribbons, nice makeup, and away he went. He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I put him on the voice. I think I'm going down to Inspector Laird's downstairs." He said, "You can't do that, for God's sake. Don't worry." And remember, at the time, he was the lowest ranking Air Force aircraft in KC-2. I think he did it because he didn't like himself as he was. Later years, he said he'd like to look like Frank Sinatra. I don't know why. He didn't think he was attracted to Saul, and he didn't like being a nobody. And he wanted to be somebody which he couldn't be, so he pulled on that disguise, which later in his professional life became the key to his great success, because that's what he could do, to transform himself into anything he wanted.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to imagine the scene on a battlefield inside a rather battle-scarred headquarters, and there are 3 high-ranking American officers standing around the table, and they call this young lieutenant into the room. It goes like this. Lieutenant Hargreaves? Lieutenant, I have called you here because we are in a very, very grave position.
Yes, sir.
We are not only completely... Oh, one moment, Lieutenant. Hello? HQ? Yes? Word? And another thing, goodbye. Lieutenant, we are not only completely surrounded by units of the 15th Panzer Division, but they are at this very moment, Lieutenant, surrounding and penetrating our main defense line.
Yes, sir.
The characters Sellers met in the war would be the inspiration for some of his most famous creations. Sellers' brief war had basically been a continuation of his show business experience. When the war was over, he returned to live with his parents in a flat in East Finchley and set up Nat, an unlikely combination of drumming and impersonation.
Well, I used to do, as they say, Sergeant stage screen and radio. I used to do Peter Lawrence from the Mortis Falcon. And I used to do Humphrey Bogart and Peter Lorre and Sidney Green. It's Tommy Hanley. Well, isn't that nice? What is it? It's me latest leaving. Well, I'll go to the foot about that. TTFN, what does that mean? Needs to set out for now. No, she's a YTYTK. What's that? You're too young to know.
I was in the RAF, in the gang show, but I lost my family in the war, you see, and I was always on my own. I used to come home, you see, and live in this terrible club. No disrespect to the club, but, you know, it was a shilling a night to get a bed there. And Peter was outraged. He said, "You mean to say you go back there every night?" I said, "Yes. You've got nowhere else." And with that, he said, "Right," he said. He got in the car and took me up to North Finchley. And there was a block of flats. And underneath his flat, he got me fixed up in my first post-war place. My memory is that he was rather shy. I mean, he used to be a great one for the fantasies. He used to boast, God knows why, that he was descended from Lord Nelson once upon a time. He used to talk steam chapel. Lived with his mum, Peg, and his father. He was her only child, but it was an absurd only child in the sense that the world revolved through her eyes round him. She literally worshipped him. And she was not obviously happy when the women emerged, because, of course, it was a threat to her love for him.
November 1946. Hilda, my dearest darling, Mum woke me up this morning with a cup of tea and your lovely letter. Hilda, will you marry me next year? We will both be 22.
He was living at home with his parents, 211B High Road in Finchley. We were family friends, but all in the same business, show business. My family round the eastern counties, just after the war, we were running a big fairground because it was holidays at home. Theatre, stage, holiday camp, fairground, you name it, we did it. We started writing as soon as I got back to Norfolk. And from then on, they didn't stop for 3 years. At least once, twice, and sometimes even 3 times a day. And I've got some letters 16 pages long.
Dearest Hilda, if you ever took it in your mind to pack me in, I would go completely round the bend. I need you so much. From the window, I can see the backs of rows of dreary-looking houses. An overcast sky looks down on the tacked and cut torch of England. When I get to the top, I'll get you a Rolls Royce, throw in a few butlers for luck.